Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our weekend weather update and the outlook for next week. And we've got a couple of lows in the forecast. The first one is coming on Saturday to the lower part of New Zealand, the lower South Island. And it does bring a burst of wind and rain, possibly damaging gales. And then next week, we've got a low in the Tasman, which is not 100% locked in. We're going to show you a couple of the models and what they're saying, but also it might not 100% affect us. So we're still just trying to lock that in. So we've got the forecast right through until Wednesday of next week. Let's kick off though with Friday's wind map. Big area of high pressure out here in the Tasman, and it's slowly moving in towards the country, but it won't last too long because coming in behind it is this low, and it's not very big, but it's a potent little system. It's going to track across the lower South Island or the Stewart Island area as we go through Saturday, and it brings the risk of damaging gales here and there around the South Island. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's kick off with the rain though, with the 2-day rainfall outlook. Firstly, the North Island, the blue and the green. That's not much, a couple of millimetres coming for you. A few showers in the forecast, otherwise dry, especially in the east and the north. In the South Island, similar story for Nelson and Marlborough and Canterbury as well. But the west coast has a little bit of rain, not a huge amount for the more populated areas. 10, 15 millimetres potentially coming through. Even Fiordland doesn't have a huge amount. It's about 50 millimetres falling in that area. And into Southland over the next couple of days, you're also in that sort of yellow-orange area, 5 to 15 millimetres. So the rainfall is not the major part. The wind is going to be a little bit bigger. So here's lunchtime Saturday. You can see what I mean by that low tracking around the south, and it's driving in this windy change. There's two sets of wind to worry about on Saturday. You've got the general sort of windy nor'westers or westerlies, which pick up through the mountains as they usually do. The second area, and this is the one that we're more concerned with, are the very strong winds just here on this side of the low. Coming in here into Invercargill and Bluff, and then into the afternoon, it'll come into Dunedin and Otago Peninsula. This is the wind map. It's a little hard to read, but the areas we're looking at here are in this purple shading. Those are the gusts, and that's showing gusts around 120, 130 k's an hour. That's out at sea. You can also see those blustery winds. That's the usual nor'westers, but it's this area down here that we're most concerned about. This is at 4 p.m. on Saturday, so later into Saturday afternoon, brushing around Otago. Now it only has to move a little bit offshore and it's not a problem, but likewise it jogs a little bit closer and we've got a significant wind issue going on. This is around about the lunchtime mark, going backwards a little bit, but I just wanted to show you a bigger picture showing more of New Zealand. You can see again in purple, the nor'westers. Those are the big gusts coming in over 120 k's, but it's this area down here, that's the main area of concern, standing over the key a wee bit. But the areas in purple and pink, that's sort of up here in the 90 to 120 kilometre an hour range at lunchtime on Saturday. So it's going to be pretty windy for a time in the south. But look at Sunday. The stormy system's out here now, south of the Chathams. We've got high pressure returning to the rest of the country. So it's still a little breezy in a few areas, but generally speaking, mostly dry. There are those showers that are coming in for the North Island, not much. So let's get into next week. Monday kicks off with afternoon downpours. It'll be a little cool to begin with, and then by the afternoon, the warmth comes in, and we'll have these big downpours, maybe some thunderstorms in the mix as well on Monday as that forms. At the same time on Monday, there's a low coming out of Australia. I said a couple of months ago, the fact that Aussie's getting all this rain bodes well for us. We got the droughts last year after we caught the highs they were getting. This year, I'm hopeful we'll start catching some of the lows they've been getting lately to lift up our rainfall totals. Now, this low forming next week isn't locked in yet for New Zealand because of this block of high pressure. Now this is not very high, 10, 14. It's like a hectopascal above average. So this is pretty much flat air pressure in here. This low though is also not that deep, 990 hectopascals. It's deep enough, but it's not necessarily a major system. But it's one to keep an eye on. This is next Wednesday. Now, I've seen a couple of models that show the high out here and this one joining forces and limiting that low from coming in. I still think central New Zealand's got the better chance of rain, or the lower half of the North Island, not so much the top half. Now this is the GFS model out of America. Here's the European one. This is a bigger system. They're actually putting a storm in here next Wednesday. Strong winds going around the system. 980 is the central air pressure for that estimate. But again, not a lot of rain in northern New Zealand. There's a little burst, most of it's just showers. It looks as though central New Zealand might have the bulk of that rain. But I got to stress, it's not 100% locked in. So keep up to date with your 10-day forecast that we've got at Weather Watch and Rural Weather. Keep an eye on those rain maps we've got as well. I think over the next day or two, it will be locked in. Even by Saturday afternoon, we might be in that position. But there could be a low next week. If not, we're going to see those highs merging and this fading away. So, like I say, it's an interesting time of year in spring where you're still getting a bit of a hint of the winter storms, but also the more sort of calm weather you get with summer. So this is an interesting one to watch. But for now, that's all it is. And have a great weekend. We'll see you again back on Monday.